It's going to be really, really hard for me to
That's
stand.
fine.
I got about from here to here, I'm thinking.
Now you got the whole screen. Stay
I got
inside
the whole
the
screen.
screen.
Okay. Thanks for coming. We're a pretty informal group here. My name's Dustin Robinson. I've been the refugee liaison for the Boise Police Department for a little over 6 years now. I've had the chance to work with individuals from all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of walks of life that are new here to the United States. One of the severe issues that many of our newcomers come into contact for law enforcement with is the domestic violence law. We here are familiar with domestic violence and that it's based upon equality and human rights. And that's really important when we talk to our new community members. So often, especially with our refugee community, they come here and they talk to us and they tell me the U.S. is not a place for men. The U.S. puts women in charge. And what I try to express to them is that our laws in the United States of America are truly based on equality. Doesn't matter your ethnicity, doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your socio-demographics. The laws are written to where they should treat everybody equally. So that's where we have to really focus with our refugee community members about saying, this is domestic violence, this is a family argument, right? Because anyone that's married knows that you're going to have an argument at some point in time, right? That's going to happen. Anyone that's in a romantic relationship realizes that you're going to have disagreements and you're going to have arguments. So we can talk about those with our new community members, and we can say, look, you can disagree. You can choose to have a shouting match if that's your way of solving a dispute within your relationship. And that's not something that law enforcement is going to come and get involved in, right? We may come to help keep that peace and make sure that the situation doesn't escalate, but law enforcement, for a simple verbal argument, isn't going to come in and start with criminal charges, right? That's not what we want to do. Our goal is to not make families separate. Our goal is to keep families together while enforcing the law. So as we're out in the community, it becomes really important to start showing how do we teach families to communicate. What ways are legal, what ways are illegal, what ways are functionable. Because here, if you're having a really severe yelling match, if it looks like it's going to get into a domestic violence situation, it's common and expected. Strangers, other family, neighbors, acquaintances, they are going to call law enforcement when it starts to escalate to the belief that a domestic violence or a crime is going to happen. Many of these other cultures, what happens within the family, what happens within the walls of a home, stays within the walls of a home. And it doesn't get reported to law enforcement. And so when police show up, it becomes very, very surprising. It becomes very, threatening that law enforcement is now interjecting themselves into what culturally for them is a family matter. As long as it stays within the boundary of the law, then it can stay a family matter. But law enforcement will start to interject. If we believe someone is going to get hurt, or we believe that there is that potential, we want to come in and stop that from occurring if at all possible. When domestic violence occurs, and we have to come in and start to investigate that, we have to gather evidence, we will look around the location of the scene, whether that's a car, whether that's in a yard, in a public building, in a public location, in a residence. We're going to come in and we're going to start gathering evidence. That's going to include walking around, seeing if there are broken plates, seeing if there's damage within the apartment complex, seeing if there is any witnesses that may be around to see that. We're going to talk to all members that were involved. We're going to talk to children. We're going to talk to witnesses, right? And so we will begin that investigation, and we will follow that through until there aren't any until there aren't any more leads or until all that evidence has been discovered. Right? That can be very scary to some of our new community members because we will start to come in and we can order people to be in certain locations, right? It can be common that individuals will be handcuffed and detained even though they're not being arrested. If we believe that someone's going to fight or going to hurt someone, they might get handcuffed because that's going to prevent injury all the way around. So we discuss that with them, right? We have the ability to use interpreters at the Boise Police Department. We have access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to telephonic interpretation. We also have trained and background checked contracted interpreters that we hire that we can call either on the telephone for, again, telephonic interpretation, or we can have them come out on scene if and when they're available and when we're needed, right? As that investigation goes, if an arrest is made for domestic violence, then the individual that is arrested will be taken to, for the Boise Police Department, the Ada County Jail. They will not be allowed to bond out until they speak to a judge. So if that arrest is made on a Friday, they will not be able to post bond until Monday. If that arrest is over a holiday weekend, it may extend that time as well. As soon as they're able to see a judge, then they'll be allowed to post bond. For domestic violence, as with other crimes, a no contact order will be put in place when the arrestee is released from jail if they're able to post bond on that. That no contact order will prevent the arrestee from being able to go home, being able to have contact with the victim. So that has greater implications for employment, child care, paying bills. But that's going to be a very serious thing because should they violate that no contact order, we will again do an investigation. When we get evidence towards it, if we get enough evidence, they'll be rearrested and put in jail. Okay? So that no contact order will stay in place normally throughout the duration of the trial. Domestic violence trials in the United States, if they're at a felony level, may take several months, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. If it's a felony, it can even take longer. So we do a lot of education with our new community members so they understand that this is something that has more implications than just a family fight and they can get back together and work it out once the arrestee gets out of jail. It's not that simple, right? In so many other countries, justice through law enforcement is done very quickly and on a very fast, rapid pace from start to finish. Those can take anywhere from a day or two to a couple of weeks in other criminal justice systems. Our criminal justice system slows that down a little bit. And that can be really frustrating because it's something that is culturally different. The knowledge base on how crimes are carried out or enforced can be very different. So we need to do that education as our newcomers arrive. We have due process. We have discovery. There's going to be exchange of information, right? Witnesses are going to have to be interviewed. So that's something we really want to express to our new community members. I've been talking for a while, and I can talk for a long time. I'm good at that. Anybody have any questions as we kind of talk about this?
So I know that in many cultures, let me go back a little bit. There are many people that I have met who their experience with law enforcement is very different than what their experience here is likely to be, and they're here on